2 is just such a bigger, badder, better version of Doom.
It's not too Nintendo-ish.
But it's great. The graphics are incredible.
You know, I'm excited about every level now.
I've always stated that Doom 2, when people ask me to describe it, I say it's bigger, badder, and better than Doom. The levels will be more expansive, more fine-tuned for multiplayer play.
This is fun. I want a copy of this to take home.
The 10th of October 2024 marks 30 years since Doom 2 was released to retail stores. Bigger, meaner, Doom 2 took the scale and feel of the original Doom and amplified it multiple times over. The levels are larger, the enemies greater in number, your arsenal bolstered. From the moment you plant your feet into the floor of entryway and see zombies awaiting your arrival, the harrowing sight of ThatNukemGuy's hometown being destroyed and ripped apart, and then the groans and tormented squeals of players losing their minds as they get lost in the chasm. Doom 2 is not a perfect game by any standard. You can make the argument that as a sequel, it doesn't truly advance the Doom formula, instead acting more as an evolution rather than a revolution. But when the original Doom was such a compelling base, why break the wheel when you can make it more fun to drive on? Doom 2 instead makes considered and constructive additions to the Doom formula. Nowhere is this felt more than in the enemy roster, which has been expanded and made more balanced with the selections and additions made. The chain gunner is the perfect evolution of the shotgunner and zombie man, able to hit you relentlessly from distances and torment players with that chain gun fire. The Revenant with its screeching roar as it sees you enter a room, its homing rockets designed to force players into thinking and diving around maps. Getting too close will grant you a nasty punch from this bony boy. The Pain Elemental may not seem dangerous all to itself, but leaving it alone in a room can lead to dire consequences. Its ability to spawn in its own children, its lost souls, and force the player to chew through their precious ammo can change the flow of a room and make it such a nightmare to deal with. The Hell Knight is a more balanced version of the Baron of Hell. It can be deployed more fairly across levels and provides a stern challenge for those who feel they can race through a room of enemies and accidentally bump into this titan. The Mancubus may be slow, but you really don't want to be stood in the way of its fiery blasts when it gets you in its line of sight. The Arachnotron deploying its plasma cannon relentlessly can shred even the most experienced of Doom players into a bloody dust pile on the floor. And then of course we have to talk about the Archvile, arguably the most devious addition of all to Doom 2's roster of enemies, able to deliver huge amounts of damage through its fiery blasts, and then being able to revive other fallen enemies makes this such a problem for the player when on the battlefield. And then of course there's the additions of the SS Soldier and the Icon of Sin to the monster roster to really round things out. These additions to the monster roster are considered thoughtful and up the stakes from the original Doom. It's an iconic roster that brings together the Doom 2 experience. But what are monsters without great levels? Doom 2's levels are more expansive, more stuffed to the brim with enemies, and yes, at times, can be way more frustrating. There are some absolute classics like Entryway, Dead Simple, The Living End, The Inmost Ends, O of Destruction, and I'd argue Courtyard as well. Then you have the inventive levels like Tricks and Traps, which test the player and all they understand about Doom, as well as Barrels of Fun, which takes the in-game barrels and places them as the focus of the level. Levels like this really help to showcase that Doom can have fun with itself at the same time as being serious, and it's inspired many custom levels over the years to follow in their footsteps. Some levels though buckle under the weight of their own ambition and struggle to leave a great impression. Downtown, Nirvana, The Chasm, and arguably most disappointing of all, Icon of Sin. These aren't necessarily terrible levels, but they do showcase that increased scope for Doom 2 wasn't always met by the reality of great levels. But here's the beauty of Doom, it doesn't end with the original slate of levels. The legacy of Doom 2 is one that's being built on all these years later, and players are spoilt for choice when it comes to how they continue their classic Doom adventure. Players have the choice of official expansions, the master levels for Doom 2 expansion, Final Doom which contains Plutonia and TNT, and the No Rest for the Living, which in my opinion is the best set of Doom 2 levels officially released. There's also the option for the absolute ocean of content created by players over the years, many of which surpass the original slate of levels and just show how amazing Doom can be. The mod community around Doom 2 is still thriving, engaged, and one of the most creative in all of gaming in 2024. WODs like Batman Doom, Sunlust, My House, and many countless more would simply not exist without Doom 2 as the base. And what appraisal of Doom 2 would be complete without mentioning the Super Shotgun. Very few weapons in gaming are as satisfying or iconic as Doom 2's Super Shotgun, a weapon that has been often imitated but in my opinion never truly surpassed. It's the all-rounder that brings true chaos to Doom 2, and simply put, the game wouldn't be the same without its existence. Entering a crowded room and just unleashing double-barreled hell upon the enemies is one of those pure joys that you don't get very often in gaming. Then of course there's the console ports of Doom 2. While not as iconic as original Doom's appearances on every console it could muster, Doom 2 would make appearances on consoles that could do a better job of handling its much larger requirements. Doom 2 on PlayStation 1 isn't perfect, it has performance hiccups on larger levels, but it's also an incredibly fun take on Doom 2 and adds in its own spin on iconic levels which I consider just as much fun as the PC version. This version would also make its way to the Sega Saturn, which is its own experience. Then of course Doom 2 officially showed up on Nintendo's Game Boy Advance. I actually think it's among the best first person shooters on the GBA. Doom 2 pushes that console to its limit and showcases that even in smaller packages, that core Doom 2 experience was just something special. And on a personal note, Doom 2 is a very special game to me. When my dad brought Doom 2 home on a floppy disk, acquired from a colleague at his workplace, it unleashed a whole new world of fun for young me. I distinctly remember the title screen being corrupted, "Don't pirate kids," and one of the level's musics would crash the game if you didn't turn off the in-game music while playing. But to me, Doom 2 was everything that I wanted to play in a video game. And that's kind of the point here. Doom 2, to me personally, is just such a special game. When my dad brought home Doom 2 on a floppy disk, acquired from a colleague at his workplace, it unleashed a whole new world of fun for young me. I distinctly remember the title screen being corrupted, "Don't pirate kids," and one of the level's musics would crash the game if we didn't turn down the volume because, well, you know, piracy. But this was Doom 2, and it was everything young me wanted to play. Every now and then my dad would bring home new WOD files, and it meant there was always new Doom levels to play and experience. I have so many fond memories of levels that I can't even name from back in the day, levels that made Doom 2 that much more important to me. From the days of me sitting in front of that Maxwell Pentium PC and playing Doom well into the night, to me going out specifically to buy the collector's edition of Doom 3 on the original Xbox so I could play Doom 2 on my TV. Even when I went to university and got myself a new laptop, the first thing I did was download ZDoom so I could play Doom during lectures. Heck, even my first venture into YouTube back in the early 2010s was based around Doom. One of those videos remains up to this day. Even when I started streaming out on Twitch a few years back, it was Doom 2 that was far and away the most played game on my channel. I've grown up alongside Doom 2. It's a game that's remained constant in my life, and it's a game that all these years later I can play and still get that level of joy out of that few other games can match. Doom 2 isn't just a game to me, it's the game to me. No other game has had such an influence on my life, and while it has its flaws, all these years later I still come back to experience it again and again. So here's to 30 years of Doom 2. The memories, the encounters, the many levels that I've experienced over that time, and just all the joy and fun that it's brought into my life personally. I'd love to hear about your experiences with Doom 2 over the years. What are your positive memories of this game? What do you think about it, and do you consider it one of the greatest games of all time?